Maybe you're in the gym busting your ass, not seeing the results you want, or maybe you're one of those people that's very technical, and before you decide to go into it, you gotta make sure you know what's optimal and what isn't. Well, either way, I got you covered, because in this video, we're gonna talk about the 3 different forms of cardio you can do. We're gonna compare, and we're gonna figure out exactly which one is the best one to do for fat and weight loss. And what's good, YouTube? It's your boy John Mango. I am here representing Beyond the Iron. I drop weekly fitness content. That's multiple times a week to help you get to your goals faster and more enjoyably. So if you're interested in that, consider hitting that subscribe button below. Let's go ahead and start out this video asking the question, should you be doing cardio? I've been a personal trainer, online coach, fitness professional for many years now. I've gone through the game, you know. My personal opinion is you should be doing cardio every single day. Now, if it's necessary to do is going to be a whole other topic for a whole other video. If you stay until the end of this one, I'll tell you how I structure and do my cardio for maximum results in my life. But for now, this one is about you, and we're trying to figure out what worked best for you to get those goals. First up, we got endurance training. Now, I'm putting this first because, well, a lot of people just disregard it in the bodybuilding and physique community. There's really only 2. There's HIIT and LISS. Well, there's also endurance training. Now, let me go ahead and start off by saying this about endurance training. This is a marathon runner. Do you want to look like a marathon runner? Probably not, or at least not in the end. But if your goal right now is fat loss, this may look somewhat appealing to you in the short term. And in fact, they are the skinniest people, or some of the skinniest athletes, for a reason. They're burning an insane amount of calories. As a matter of fact, you're burning the most calories out of all 3 cardio variations by doing endurance training. So this is going to give you the most calorie burn right off the bat. Now, before you go jumping off making conclusions like, all right, let me sign up for the next marathon and I'll be shredded. Hold that thought, okay? Because we got some more content to cover. Don't be jumping to conclusions like I know you do sometimes. So being that this is the one that you burn the most calories in, it is the one out of all 3 that's going to actually facilitate a caloric deficit out of all 3 if we're just looking at calories per form of cardio. So this one is going to essentially boost your metabolism the most in the short term. Now, on top of this, you know, there's obviously the most benefit when it comes to cardiovascular work and improving your cardiovascular capacity, fitness, and health. Okay, so again, these are 2 massive benefits for endurance training that are constantly overlooked for people that claim are in the fitness industry, but really they're just physique competitors, and they're forgetting a big portion of fitness and health, which is of course your cardiovascular fitness and health, in which case endurance training is best for that. But we do kind of want to get a bit of both worlds here, because I don't expect you nor want you to just jump into the next marathon, right? So one thing that you need to note here is that endurance training puts muscle loss, again, the marathon runner, muscle loss at a very high risk, okay? So simply just staying at such a high intensity for such a long duration of time, your body have a higher chance of breaking down proteins, in other words, muscle stored in the body, in order to fuel itself throughout these grueling long duration training style workouts. And even if diet is on point, there is still a higher chance of it getting in the way of recovery for your muscles, just because, again, the intensity is so high for such a long period of time that your body is just as much stressed by this form of cardio as it would be by the weightlifting. So it's going to get in the way of potential synthesis of muscle, and you're just not going to maximize your actual performance and muscle gains when it comes to looking better and improving your body composition. So next up, we have LISS. This stands for low intensity steady state training, or cardio, I should say. So this one is pretty self-explanatory. The name says it all. You're going to be staying at a very low intensity. As a matter of fact, the intensity is sometimes so low that you can basically do this cardio forever, literally. So this is a lot of the times the most common and favorited amongst, again, those physique and bodybuilder style competitors, because of its main benefit, and that's going to be kind of the only benefit is going to be that it is the one that will definitely preserve the most muscle. Okay, so it's the lowest risk of muscle loss, but if your diet's not on point, of course you're still running that risk. But even still, this one you will always run the least amount of risk for burning up muscle. And remember, we're trying to lose fat, not just weight. So weight includes muscle. If you're losing a ton of weight, it doesn't mean that you're going to look better necessarily. So in order to do that, LISS is a good way to make sure you are preserving the gains you're making while while isolating and cutting the fat. But, of course there's a but. The problem is that you're not getting either. Actually, you're getting the complete opposite pros from the previous, the endurance style training. Those are the cons here. So you're actually burning the least amount of calories out of all three variations, and there's almost no impact, positive impact, on your cardiovascular health, because again, your heart rate doesn't get up nearly high enough to trigger a improvement in your cardiovascular fitness. So for that reason, again, physique competitors and all that, they look great, but I personally would like to perform great in and on any situation or scenario, because that to me is what encompasses overall health and fitness. And if you can run like crazy like a football player and look as jacked as one, then you know what? Why not? And one thing to note, the reason why the risk of muscle loss is so low here is because when you're doing such a low intensity form of exercise, your body does rely mostly on burning fat as fuel, because it does take longer to break down, but since the intensity isn't so high, your body has that time to break it down and utilize that as its primary energy source. Whereas if you're doing higher intensity stuff, your body leans towards burning more carbohydrates, because again, it's a quicker, more efficient way of getting energy. So the more you stay at a higher intensity where your body needs to break down quick, once it starts running out of carbs, which is a protein sparing macronutrient, it will begin to potentially start leaching off of the protein. So that is why LISS does a great job of preserving muscle. Now, another pro actually that I don't want to overlook here is active recovery. That is a great benefit of LISS. Now, since LISS is so low intensity, again, this impact is not going to get in the way of muscle. Just like in the first one, your body is not under serious amounts of stress. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite. You're going to raise your heart rate slightly, so the circulation is going to be a little bit better. It's going to work to remove some byproducts in your muscles when they're sore, and just overall helping your body replenish, get fresh blood to the muscles and repair, and therefore helps with soreness, helps with performance, all that stuff. So again, another great benefit. If you're really leaning more towards building as much muscle as possible and strength and preserving it, especially when trying to lose fat, LISS may be the one you want to go with. And recall that it does burn the least amount of calories in the most times. So, you know, if you're a physique competitor and you really care that much about building muscle, like myself personally, I would prefer to do other things with my time, then you know what, this one may chew up your time for something that you can get without having to spend this much time on it, right? And you may sacrifice 1% of your gains to save time, okay? What's more important here, you know, in my opinion? Some of you watching this may think muscle is the most important thing. If so, LISS is the way to go for you. One bonus tip is that actually when doing LISS on something like a Stairmaster machine, you can watch videos, informative videos, I'm saying, because that's what makes this a good thing, or, you know, listen to audiobooks, that kind of stuff, where it's a lot harder to actually absorb that information when you're going all out and super intense, right? So that's actually a bonus pro towards LISS. Last but not least, we're going to talk about HIIT. HIIT has been saved for last because it is the best, okay? That's it. I just spoiled it for you. HIIT is the best if you're looking to lose fat and preserve muscle and save time, okay? If muscle is everything to you, I will tell you right now, LISS is the better option, okay? Because muscle is more important than the time that you may get from doing HIIT instead of LISS and losing out on that 1% of muscle gains. But if you're like most people, and again, I imagine most people watching my channel, then HIIT is what you should be doing. HIIT is high intensity interval training, and it kind of combines the pros of both of those and gets rid of the cons. So it's kind of a no-brainer, right? So it actually burns obviously a lot more calories than the LISS in a session, slightly less than the endurance training. But the cool thing is that you preserve, and the risk of muscle loss is much less. The increased chance of muscle preservation in HIIT than there is in the endurance training. So that's obviously really good, because again, increased risk of muscle loss comes from staying burning carbs too long to the point where your body has to start looking for anything and everything to fuel itself. So in HIIT, you usually go hard for a minute and come back down. So your body's burning carbs, but not too long, and then it reverts a little bit more back to fats and carbs and fats and carbs and fats. So you're able to burn a ton of calories. Another huge benefit, you get the benefit again, of the endurance training, you're raising your heart rate up so high that it forces your cardiovascular fitness to improve over time, given that you're progressing. And also, it does induce the afterburn effect, also known as excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption, which is a fancy way of saying your metabolism is going to be jacked up for even after the session is over, because you have depleted so much oxygen in your blood that it's similar to lifting weights. When you break the muscle down in the gym, it has to replenish, repair, and your metabolism increases outside of the gym. This is the same concept, but with oxygen depletion in your blood. Now, one thing I do have to mention about HIIT is the high impact, okay? The high impact could still, just like the endurance training, potentially get in the way of your muscle gains. And when I say potentially get in the way of your muscle gains, I'm literally talking about maybe 1 or 2 pounds, 0.1% of your muscle and strength gains. So again, you got to weigh out which one's more important for you. But in my opinion, HIIT saves the most time, which is amazing, burns an insane amount of calories, and the impact is somewhat high, but you get an amazing health benefit from it. And a huge bonus tip, HIIT, unlike the other two, you can essentially do anywhere. So for example, I used to do HIIT only exclusively with battle ropes, and it was a 5-minute session. I even bulked up to 245 pounds at the time. Doing just 5 minutes of HIIT almost every single day, my cardiovascular health was insane. My long duration wasn't so good, but I was definitely none of those climbing up the stairs and getting winded type of guys, right? Even though I was pretty big. So again, HIIT can be done anywhere. You could just do a ton of burpees and rest, ton of burpees, rest. You can literally do it anywhere with no equipment and you'll be good to go. Okay, so that's a huge bonus. Yes, you could do the same with the other ones, but it'd be so boring, so mind-numbingly dull that you probably won't want it. So that's pretty much it. My recommendation, like I said, for most of you watching this, is going to be HIIT for all those benefits that I just mentioned. Now, myself personally, I do HIIT as well as a little bit of higher intensity endurance training. I just hate LISS. I don't like spending more time than I have to get the calories burned, and I'm okay with potentially risking 0.1% of my muscle in order to save that time, because I want to do more important things with that time. My money, my income, my business does not rely on that extra 1% of muscle. So again, figure out where you lie. If that's your situation, then again, HIIT is recommended. My personal structure is I do a kind of a hybrid between a HIIT and a high intensity endurance training, and I do it every single day for 10 to 20 minutes post workout, so after the weights. Okay, now if you're wondering what's better, fasted, after, before, all that stuff, I'll make another video for you if you comment it down below, or any other comments, leave them down below. But that's how I do it every single day, because if it's worth doing one day, it's worth doing every day. Okay, so that's gonna be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, leave a like, comment, like I said, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And you're still watching this video, you know you want to subscribe. Let's do it. Come on, join the BTI squad. That's gonna be it for the video though. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I think I say that a million times. I'm out. See you in that next one.